Ibrahim Islam married Hajar. Now Ibrahim Islam, as you know, when he left his family, he was already in his 70s. He was already in his 70s, so he wasn't a young man, and he wasn't going to get any younger. And like every person, he was worried about his future in terms of his future generations. So he always we'll come to it later on after the next chapter, but he would always pray to Allah for a child, and him and his wife, like any husband and wife. After marriage, mashallah, 1-2 months or a year, whatever, happiness and mashallah, freedom. After that, he started thinking about the children. He started thinking about children. And it's natural that a person worries that if his wife or if there's something happening in that life. Okay? You get very, very modern people, mashallah, we won't have a child for 5 years, we're both professionals or whatever, for absolutely no reason, they just don't want a child. There are shari'i reasons why people don't have to have children. But even then, after a little while, they want to have children. Understand? It's the nature of man, and the nature of women even more. And we don't realize this, brothers, but women, after a certain period in their age, all they talk about is children. They have no other conversation. Right? Over the phone, oh, assalamu alaikum, hey, oh, she did this, he did that, and mashallah, and through the social media, all they talk about is children. Right? So mashallah, which is very good. But what about that woman who don't have a child? She feels the absence of a child, and she feels sad, okay? Which is natural. So Sarah was no different. She was she was a Siddiqah, she was a pious lady, whatever it is, she wanted a child, right? But look at her maturity, that she realized that Ibrahim he's an amazing man. We'll do his virtue later on. And he's a man who deserves to have a legacy. He's a man who deserves to have, a name after he passes away. And how is that going to be? Through his awlad, through his children. Okay? How does the person's name carry on? MashaAllah, brothers, we have to respond to you. How does it carry on? Through his
children.
Children, okay? So, inshallah, look at me. Okay. So through his children, important, okay? So Hajar, Sarah said, look, I've got this slave girl. She's my slave girl. Remember, that was her possession. And that's important. If something is a wife's possession, it's not your possession. We have this concept, okay, of our culture again, where if the wife owns something, it's ours too. It's not like that in Islam. Her ownership is hers. Your ownership is yours. So your car is your car, okay? Her kitchen is her kitchen. Right? But on the serious note, it's hers. You have no right to interfere in her wealth. Many husbands, okay, we're all guilty, where, they, mashallah, jo mera tera, how can you say that? What's mine is yours? What kind of rubbish is that? Okay? Islamically, it doesn't make sense. Okay? And he upheld that. That was her slave girl. So she decided what to do with it. Ibrahim never said, oh, son, how are you doing? Mashallah, you have a slave girl. Okay, and we don't have no children. What do you think? Maybe, She has said, this shows her maturity. This shows her maturity. And this, I'm going to stress on this a little bit. Second marriage is not haram. Second marriage is not haram, it is absolutely jais. If it wasn't jais, why would Rasulullah get married so many times? Why would the Sahaba Kiram have so many wives? We have to take this dirt out of us that we look bad at somebody who gets married twice. Oh, you don't get married twice. And then you get those the ladies, oh, poor woman, her husband married twice. Stop for love. Do you understand? Islam says, look what Allah says. If you wish to get married twice, thrice, 4 times. Allah first says that. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. Get married twice, thrice, 4 times. That's what Allah talks about in the Quran. Okay? He doesn't say, and then Allah says, if you fear that you can't be just, then 1. If you fear, then you can't, then get married how many times? 1. But that's secondary. Originally Allah said get married twice, thrice, 4 times. So there's many wisdom that's there. But one thing I'm just saying this, mashallah, I have to go to a house to inshallah, so just to level the problem. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he never offered to get married himself. That's the key thing. He could have said, you know what, my wife's barren, let me move on. Do you understand? He's stuck with Sarah. Do you understand? And one Ustadh used to say, if somebody marries a woman with the intention that, you know what, for the sake of Allah, and so that this woman can remain happy, I want to stay within this one marriage. Not because it's not jais, not because she's going to beat me up. Okay? Many husbands, brother, second marriage, shh. Even the walls have ears. Okay? And you get the most toughest husbands. Okay, in our culture, the sorrow is too much. Even those tough guys, when you talk about second marriage, subhanAllah, you see where the toughness goes, isn't it? No, I only love you. Okay? Property, I don't know if say that. Anyway, so the point is, second marriage is jais. It's sunnah. If someone does it, they've done something great. Mashallah, it's up to them now. How many husbands are married once and they're not fulfilling the rights of their wives? Why don't we stop marriage altogether? Why do you have to say, oh, you have to be equal? If you're not equal, it's not jais. How many husbands are married single time they fail? So we should stop marriage altogether, for us. Close the institution. It is possible, and you know who suffers the most? Because of our culture, we find mid-aged women who are in the 30s and 40s, who've got young children, they're divorced, and they got nowhere to go. Because the man thinking, I've got one chance, and I have to make it the best. So, I'm never going to marry her. Do you understand? And the woman that he's got married to, she's like, that's it. I was your first chance, and I was your only chance. First khalas, you're going with me to the grave. Okay? So we have to change this culture. Anyway, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he decided that he was going to stay with Sarah. And he supported her. And remember, he married her based on her piety. And that's why we should marry. I don't want to go into that too much. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, so she said, look, we haven't got a child. Why don't you get married to my state girls, Hajar? So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he got married to Hajar. When he got married to Hajar, Allah Azza wa Jal blessed him with a child. But look what Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran. رَبِّ هَبَ لِي مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. He used to make dua, oh Allah, grant me a child from the righteous. Mashallah, we're following the book, Mashallah. From the righteous, Salihin, from the pious people. When we make dua to someone, or we make dua to Allah for a child, we should always keep this in brackets. Okay? Or this should be our dua. We shouldn't make dua, Allah give me children. Inshallah, you're going for Hajj, and I'm sure many are going for, and many make dua. Don't make dua for children or not children. Make dua that you have pious children. Because sometimes a child who is not pious could be worse than not having a child at all. And those who, Allah save us, we don't experience it yet. Okay, but we've seen how people's lives are ruined because of certain ignorant and evil children. Allah save us all. It's adab in this world. So Ibrahim was 70-something. 70-something years old. He's traveling. The whole travel will make this dua, Rabbi habli min as-salihin. So Allah said, فَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ. 10 years he lived in Jerusalem, okay? 10 years he lived in Jerusalem, and after 10 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he moved back to Jerusalem, he was 76, 10 years later, at the age of 86. These are all in Al-Bidayah, Ibn Kathir. He was blessed with a child. Who? Ismail. Ismail. This is the Islam Islamic perspective, we'll discuss that later on, as to who was the first child of Ibrahim alayhi salam. There is a large amount of scholars who believe Ishaq was the first child, okay, and the one who undergo the slaughtering process. Anyway, Ibrahim, the majority of scholars and the Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and and the Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we are all of the opinion that the first child was whom? Ismail alayhi salam. Now, I'm still mention something in between that's not here. When Hajar was pregnant with Ismail alayhi salam, some narrations say that Sarah, she never liked it. This is Israeli narration. So we can't 100% agree with them, but we can't disagree with them. Sarah never liked it, so she felt, she felt the same for herself, and now she's having a child, and that sense of jealousy, which is only natural. So that shows us that should that be a barrier for marriage second time? No, because it's natural, it's going to happen. She offered it. They got jealous. So it just shows that they never happened. On the serious note, it shows that it's natural for a woman to feel a sense of jealousy from her own wife. You understand? It's not something naive. But to avoid that jealousy, should you avoid getting married at the time? This is not found in the Sharia. You understand? And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he knows for Hajar, she was obviously, she felt bad, and so she went for some narration that she left Jerusalem. She went outside Jerusalem, and she moved away. And then when she went away, there was a pain in her stomach, etc. She gave a glad tidings that, we're going to have a beloved child, etc. Everything will be fine. So eventually she went back to Jerusalem and she had a child. Do you understand? So in the middle she had a phase where she felt that, this pressure I'm getting from Sarah, it's too much. This is Israeli narration, so don't take it too serious, because it doesn't seem as though Sarah would do something like that. It's beyond her character of nobility. Do you understand? So if you don't want to believe in it, it's fine. Okay, it's Israeli narration. And then after that, when she had the child, at the age of 86, Ibrahim was 86. How old was his father again when he had him? 75, wasn't it? So it's not, in those days, mashallah, Allah used to bless them even at older age, mashallah. Right, now when she had the child, some narrations again now say that Sarah couldn't take it. She felt too much grief, like depression. All my life I wanted a child, now she's got the child. She stole my light, my limelight. And women get really upset about the limelight. Okay? So she stole it, it's gone. Right? So this is something natural, it's not something haram, it's natural. So she never reacted on her feelings. She just asked Ibrahim that kindly, if it's possible, can when I see her, I get upset, I feel grief. Can you kindly move with her? She's your wife now. Can you take her somewhere else? So that I don't have to interact with her daily and have this feeling with me. Just like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Hamza radiallahu anhu was killed, by whom? Who killed him? Wahshi. And Wahshi later on accepted Islam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you know what, Wahshi? MashaAllah, you're a Muslim. But whenever I see you, the grief is revived again of losing whom? Hamza radiallahu anhu. So nicely, I would like it if you don't come in front of me. Rasulullah, he said that. It's natural. Some things are natural. Do you understand? So similarly here, you can say that it was a natural reaction. She wasn't too happy with seeing her every day. So she said to Ibrahim, will you take her and the child somewhere else? By that time, Allah had already given her some form of glad tidings that she will eventually have Ishaq. That's what's mentioned in Ibn Kathir. Some say no, she got it later on, but she was told that one day she's going to have a child of her own as well. Right? But until then, Allah knows best when this happened. Right, over here, majority of the opinion of the scholars of the Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam was the son of Ibrahim, first son of Ibrahim, and whom the incident and the one who the incident of sacrifice took place with, and not Ishaq. The reason for this belief is that immediately after mentioning the grandfather of the child, Allah talks about the same child being the one who was asked to be slaughtered. Then Allah says, وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ. So Allah, we're going to discuss these ayahs, but after mentioning the incident of slaughtering, Allah says, وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِإِسْحَاقَ. Then we gave them the glad tidings of who? وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِإِسْحَاقَ. Who? Ishaq. So that shows that the slaughtering incident, everything's taking place. Now Allah's giving them the glad tidings of Ishaq. That shows who's the first child? Ismail. Okay? Ishmael. Ishmael. I have to go in word, I have to change all the Ishmael to Ismail. Okay? The one that I'm copy and pasting. Okay? So Ishmael. Ismail. Ibrahim. And then after that, this incident of Ibrahim and Islam traveling with Ismail and Hajar. So now Ibrahim and Islam decided to take his family. He listened to Sarah. And now Allah had ordered him as well. Both had coincided now. And Allah decided, and all of a sudden, Ibrahim and Islam decided Ismail and Islam was still a young child. Now we know this incident, but we're going to have a much more deeper insight in this incident now, inshallah. Ibrahim Islam told Sarah, he told Hajar that, you know what, we need to go pick up Ismail and we need to go. MashaAllah, they left. If you quickly go back to, or if you go down, we should have a map. We have a map, go down to the bottom. Yes, MashaAllah. It's the next edition, inshallah. So if we look at this map, we see Jerusalem. Is it there? See Jerusalem up there in Israel? All the way there. And Makkah, Medina, look at Mecca, Medina all the way there. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hajar, they left. They came down south, and as they were coming, they had to cross a whole load of difficulty you can imagine, right? And his child was still a suckling child, still a child who was still possibly under one. Do you understand? And in these circumstances, he did hijrah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had something great in mind. And this is one principle you should always remember, and we take this back as well. The more sacrifice you do for deen, the more Allah will give you the deen. Okay? The more sacrifice you do, the more you will get the deen. That's how it works. The more sugar you put in the cup, the more sweeter it will become. Okay? So the more effort you put in the deen, the more you will taste the deen. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah wanted them to sacrifice this sacrifice, an amazing sacrifice. Took him all the way down and left him in the middle of nowhere. If Makkah never existed that time, nothing was there. You all know these stories. Now listen, look at this narration that's mentioned here. Ibrahim alayhi salam, look what's mentioned. After Ibrahim alayhi salam had helped his wife and child to dismount, he took them to Makkah in the middle of a valley. He left them there, and then what happened? Allah Ta'ala told him, and Allah wanted to see. This is what I mean by being Khalilullah. Khalilullah means someone who Allah will come before anyone. Do you understand? And I mentioned this. I'll give you an example. In the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. Allah Ta'ala says, on the day of judgment, people are going to say, just if I ever took so-and-so person as my friend. You could take him to be a friend. Why? Because the Khalil naturally takes you towards his direction. But in fact, if someone's your Khalil, they're going to take you in that direction. So the youngsters, be very mindful of who you make your friends. Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi falyanzur ahadukum man yuqalil. Rasulullah said, a person is on the deen of his friend. So you should be mindful of who you befriend. And on Facebook, you befriend people. So you should be mindful of who you be Facebook. Okay, be mindful. Similarly with all these social medias, you must be mindful of who you befriend on these things. They will have an influence on you. How? They're going to put one post up. They're going to be like, oh, very nice. Second day, another one. Oh, very, very nice. And after the third day, you're going to think like them. You say, oh, why did I think of that? Do you understand? It has an impact on you. So, Be mindful of who you befriend. He said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah save us all from evil company. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so I was saying that in the Khalil, Allah said, you come, that's it, leave your family and go back. What did you do? He obliged, because Allah was his friend. Do you understand? He left his family, he left them there and turned around. Now listen to this incident. You know, it will make you tear. And those who are going for Hajj, when they see the crowd in Makkah, think about this incident. When you see people doing tawaf in Makkah, think about this incident. When you see people doing Umrah, think about this incident. Allah has kept it alive till today. And Allah has revived the Sunnah of Adam till today. Okay? Look, she's leaving. As she was leaving, as he was leaving, Allah Ta'ala said, she said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, where are you going, Ibrahim? Leaving us in this barren valley. Ibrahim alayhi salam did not answer, continued walking. Scholars say, the reason why he never answered, he didn't really want to say. How is he going to tell his wife that I'm going to leave you here? Try leaving your wife and kid in the service station. Forget, just leave him in the service station, Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah. Allahu Akbar. Okay? We can't even do that shit. We panic. Imagine an airport, you lose your child. Allah save us. Allah says, you're leaving here in the middle, 50 degrees heat. There's no, Makkah doesn't have nothing that time. No people is far, no vegetation, nothing. So he didn't really want to say to her. But can you imagine the tarbiyah he had given to her? The way he had interacted, the training he gave her, the husband, that these are the words that come out of her mouth. He said, she repeated what she said when he remained silent. Finally, she understood that he was not acting on his own initiative. She understood that Ibrahim, he can't do this. He's doing this only for the sake of God. And we as well should develop a relationship with our families in such a way that when we do something for the sake of deen, our wives should know that this person, he will not do this to me only for the sake of Allah. He'll do this. Do you understand? And they need to understand that person, the only reason why he's getting up in the morning and he's making the whole house cold, okay, or making all this noise, etc., is because Allah told him to go read Fajr. Do you understand? And the only reason why he's going, or whatever, you have what you call a program, or you have a Jamaat, or whatever the thing is, they should realize that this person, he won't do this normally, but he's doing it for the sake of Allah. So Ibrahim alayhi leaving, she realized, she said, you know what? She said to him, did Allah command you? So he said, yes. That's one narration. One narration said he nodded his head. And one narration said, Allah told him not even to look back, just go, just go. So when he did that, she said these words, إِذَنْ لَا يُضَيِّئُنَا إِذَنْ لَا يُضَيِّئُنَا. If that's the case, then Allah will never waste us. That's the trust, the tawakkul that she had on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make our women and ourselves be inspired by Adam. Ameen. So anyway, now Ibrahim alayhi salam, it's a really sad incident, Mashayikh. Because Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was grieved. He left his wife and kids there, and he walked away. He stayed strong for his family. He stayed strong for his family. But when he went to them behind the mountain where they couldn't see him, then he broke. And look at this dua for him. This dua is ajib. It says, Allahu Akbar. This dua is so powerful, it's not a stronger dua than these in the Quran. These are extremely powerful because they are Quran. He left, as soon as he went in a place where his family couldn't see him, he cried to God. Allah, those who are going for Hajj and all of us, the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam is that he would always make dua. إِنَّهُ كَانَ بِي حَفِيًّا. Allah is tight with me. Remember we said that earlier. So this is where he knew that Allah is going to be there for him. So straight away, look at the dua he made. I just want to highlight one dua, then I'm going to give you a slight task to do. Look at this dua in the middle. رَبَّنَا إِنِّي أَسْكَنْتُ مِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي بِوَادٍ غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم. He said, Oh Allah, I have settled some of my descendants, I have settled my family, my kid and my wife, precisely, in an uncultivated valley. In a valley where there's no vegetation, nothing. By your sacred house. By your Now, this is debate we're going to do a bit later, inshallah. That was this dua made at the time where I said so? Or was this dua made after the making of, what do you call it, the Kaaba? Was the Kaaba made from before? Or was it made first by Ibrahim and Islam? These are debates that scholars have. The best would be that this dua was made at the time when no one was there. Okay? And when he said in the Bayt al-Muharram, it's possibly because he knew that there's a sacred land there and a sacred area there. And look what he said, I've left it by an uncultivated land. That means Ibrahim knew, scholars like Ibn Thaqib mentioned this, that he knew that Allah is not going to waste my family. That's the trust he had. So that's why he never said, oh Allah, provide them with water. Because he knew the basic tenet of life is water. Allah will provide them with water. He asked Allah for the max. Okay? So he said, لِيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ. The reason why I have left my family there is so that they can establish salah. It shows the importance of salah in the mind of Ibrahim Islam. Then the dua made, فَاجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ وَارْزُقْهُم مِّنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَشْكُرُونَ. Allah says, turn people's hearts towards them. That means no one knew about them. Turn people's hearts towards them and feed them from all the fruits of the world so that they can be grateful. Till today, that dua is living up to its, mashallah, potential till today. The most busy city in the world is Makkah Mukarram. And it has all the fruits of the world, Allahu Akbar. And it has all the, and not one grass hardly grows in Makkah. So Ibrahim made dua, Allah turn and make everything come to them. Inshallah, I'm just going to leave you with the task because we haven't got much time. And the task is for 5 minutes. I want you to get into groups of 4, sisters as well, inshallah. Or even bigger, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but and write down points here. If you look at the points you learn from Ibrahim Islam, write down what you can grasp from this dua. Look at this dua and try to see what you can learn from this dua. Try to take out points from this dua. Go on. Use your mind a little bit, inshallah.
On then. Yeah.